All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Wawakakwadash. Peace, blessings, much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like, pushing out this purified truth. To the rest of the church who believe as well, you men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 9. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. You have a lot of men in this ministry, they teach alone. They don't have the opportunity to just link up with the brother. Or if he's going through a tough time, be able to just link up with a brother. Okay? Or have a certain brother that he's built a bond with. Me being in this truth, I've been in this truth since 2014. I've linked up with brothers maybe, I'd say 3 times, at the most 4. But I keep it at 3 as my safe number because I believe it's probably 3. And within those 3 times, they were all beautiful moments. But if I can remember, maybe 2 of those 3 times I had to reach out. And I ain't placing blame on nobody, you know. But I feel like as men who are in camps, a lot of you are guilty of not helping out your fellow brethren who you see that are alone. Okay? You have a lot of jealousy in Israel. You have a lot of men who backbite. You have a lot of men who really seek for other men to just fall short. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone. When he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. I remember, having days driving to go and teach, and my car would just break down on me. It would just stop. I'd be at a stoplight. I'd be nervous, hoping the light turned green, because once the car was idle for, a while, it would just shut off. And it wasn't, it was embarrassing, to have to go through that. But I remember dealing with that and not having anyone to call on if I ever had car issues. I always had to kind of figure it out. And that's all right, because Yahweh Bashem Yahushua has been with me. I remember days when, and I'm just using this as a testimony for men in this ministry who may go through that feeling of loneliness, right? I can recall a time when my tire went flat in this same car that used to break down on me all the time. It was dark outside. I remember scrolling through my phone. I was going up, down, repeatedly, like someone was going to randomly pop up. And I couldn't find anybody that I could actually call on, that I could say I could depend on this person. I had no one to call on, And I was in the truth at the time. Again, verse 11. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? It might be cold outside. Imagine having to teach outside when it's really cold and you don't have your brethren around you to kind of help add to the body heat. A lot of men don't really consider and ponder, but what I'm thankful and grateful for is that I've been able to build up a personal bond with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. The fact that I see chariots, the fact that certain things have been revealed to me, it comforts my soul. But the feeling of loneliness is a very real feeling. And you're going to feel that, especially being in this ministry. If you thought you felt it in the world, you're really going to feel it in this ministry, even more so if you teach alone. Psalms 102 and 7. Let's jump back to 6. I am like a pelican of the wilderness. I am like an owl of the desert. Wilderness and desert, what they have in common is when you look at both of them, it's as if there's nothing there, right? I watch and am as a sparrow alone upon the housetop. So you have men in this truth. We are watchmen, and they're teaching alone. If you're a sparrow on a housetop, you're by yourself. Even if you're able to look down and see people or whatever, you're still by yourself because there's not another sparrow next to you, right? You know, you're going to feel alone being in this ministry. The lonely path to salvation is the only path to salvation because we are different than those of this world. I remember being in elementary school, going through being bullied. By the time I was in 5th grade, I got tough, but I had to go through that. You know, the being rejected, feeling like an outcast, feeling like a black sheep. You know, these things are ways that the Lord showed we were never really of this world anyway. Okay? Mine enemies reproach me all the day, and they that are mad against me are sworn against me. And we have a lot of enemies. We have people that hate us without cause. We have people who hate us just because we're us. We have people who hate us just because we breathe. Okay? Psalm 68 and verse 6. The power setteth the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in a dry land. So the Lord separates you from your family. If you are of his, you may have been close with your family at one time, or you thought you were, and then you become separated from your family. Because at the end of the day, the Lord is calling us to be holy. He's calling us to be separated. And that includes from our own close blood relatives. The power setteth the solitary in families. Why? Because he's calling us to be soldiers. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains. So back when we were in the world, we were bound with chains. But you come into this ministry and that's when you're set free. It starts in your mind. But the rebellious dwell in a dry land. But those of us who believe in this word, as the scripture says, okay, throughout his belly shall flow rivers of living water. The majority of Israelites, they're dwelling in dry land. They don't have no water. They are in straight up darkness. Okay? So seeing how certain men may come from families of having a lot of siblings. You may have only had one sibling. That one sibling you may not talk to anymore or as much. All those siblings you once talked to, you may not talk to them anymore or as much. For me, on the other hand, all my siblings, I just don't talk to them. There's no relationship. There's nothing there. Even at my job, I have a brother that works with me. He's in the face of all these Edomites all the time. And we act like we don't even know each other, man. It's shameful. It's humiliating. And it's especially seeing how people know that we're brothers. And yet we don't even talk. During my lunch break, I don't even go to the lunchroom. I go to the locker room. You know, when everybody else is communing and socializing, I'm to myself. Most of my life, I'm by myself. If I'm not around my woman and my children, I'm by myself. But even with them, I'm not around them all the time, you know? Let's go to Psalms chapter 69. All right, this is Psalms chapter 69 and verse 8. I am become a stranger unto my brethren and an alien unto my mother's children. Why? Because the Lord sets the solitary in families. The Lord separates his from their own families. I am a stranger unto my mother's children. It's like all my mother's children, all my siblings, it's like we're strangers now. It's like typically I've died years ago. If the Lord had it to where I had a physical death, it wouldn't be too different than what my family is already experiencing now with my absence. Okay? I am become a stranger unto my brethren and an alien unto my mother's children. For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up, and the reproaches of them that reproached thee are fallen upon me. Let's stay in Psalms. Psalms chapter 26 and verse 5. I have hated the congregation of evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked, which is most people. Like I said, when I'm at work, I be to myself. When I'm not at work, I be at home or I'm out doing the work. I live a very plain life, man. And my life has been like this really for quite a while, even a little before coming into the truth. Because before I came into the truth, I was already transitioning into a different person. I was already seeing things differently. You know, that started back in like 2008, 2009. No, really more so it was 2009, because that's when I had heard about the Illuminati. And from there, I just started seeing things differently. Okay. I have hated the congregation of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. So if you're not sitting with the wicked, it's clear to see that most people on earth are wicked. So you damn near have to separate from everybody being in this ministry. And people separate from you as well. All right. Luke chapter 6 and verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. And I've had men, you know, speak evil on me for no reason. We've all had that, right? But it sucks even more if it's a brother in the truth. You know, for whatever reason, a lot of men just hate me. You know, I have a lot of enemies. I have so many enemies. I've gotten used to being hated to a point of, to feel any different, it would be an awkward feeling. You know, blessed are you when men shall hate you. I be at work, you know, surrounded by these hillbilly Edomites, and they be giving me these looks, man. Like if they had opportunity, they'd kill me. My own people be giving me those looks. It's like I step in the room. It's like, you know, all eyes on me, all swords drawn on me. You know, brethren, you know, leaving you out, casting you out, you know, leaving you on the outside. Your own family casting you out, leaving you on the outside. You know, I've gone through this my whole life, you know, being bullied and stuff. I think I mentioned that already. You know, you go through these different things. You go through the rejection, but it's all part of just having a different spirit, you know. Blessed are you when men shall hate you and when they shall separate you from their company. And it's not because, you know, you digging in your nose, right? It ain't because you smell like trash. It ain't because you pickpocketing people or you out here smashing men's women. It ain't because you super ugly. It's because you have a righteous spirit on you. It can cause people to want to separate from you while at the same time wanting to be in your presence. These people are demons, man. And cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. So a lot of people have done that. Casted out our name as evil because we represent Yahweh Shai, and they spoke evil of him as well. All right. Verse 26. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers, the false prophets. Luke chapter 5 and verse 12. And it came to pass when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Yahweh Shai fell on his face, and beside him saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him. And he charged him to tell no man, but go and show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleaning according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. But so much the more went there a fame abroad of him, and great multitudes came together to hear him, and to be healed by him of their infirmities. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. So Yahweh Shai often liked being alone. Even when people wanted to praise him, there were times Yahweh Shai just wanted to be alone. You know, a lot of us men in this truth, we have, I think, what they call an introvert type personality, you know, or what the world will call Sigma males. Okay, if you had to put like a title on it. Us in this truth, we often find ourselves alone. Even if you're amongst brethren, right? Outside of that, you find yourself alone. You don't really find yourself communing with people like that. Me, I'm always alone for the most part. If I'm not with my woman and my children, which, like I said, even that's limited, you know, I'm not in my children's presence all the time. We don't have that much in common. You know, what is a grown man such as myself with the mind that I have gonna do around a young adult female? And my son, he's coming to that point of becoming a young adult male. You know, what we gonna do? Play patty cake all day long? So most of the time, like I said, I'm alone, and that's all right, because it's allowed me to grow in this truth. It's allowed me to get closer to the Lord. All right. And the Lord has shown me that he's with me. And I'm grateful for that. All right. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. So Yahweh Shai had an introvert like mentality. Let's go to John chapter 6 and verse 10. And Yahweh Shai said, make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place. So the men sat down in number about 5,000. And Yahweh Shai took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed the disciples, and the disciples to them that were sat down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. When they were filled, he said unto his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together and filled 12 baskets with fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above unto them that had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the miracles that Yahweh Shai did, said, this is of a truth the prophet that should come into the world. When Yahweh Shai therefore perceived that they would come and take him by force to make him a king, he departed again into a mountain himself alone. So Yahweh Shai would often find himself alone. Even when people were trying to praise him, he would find himself wanting to be alone. How much more in times when people are trying to, you know, reject you, trying to kill you, trying to persecute you, slandering your name, how much more would you want to be alone then? We want to be alone whether people, you know, honor us as the prophets or they don't. We just like being alone for the most part, because there's really not much to talk about with people in this world. We don't really have nothing in common. You know, we come from a higher realm of thinking, right? And the majority of people in this world, they're very low level. They're very bottom feeder with their thinking. Psalms chapter 40 and 12. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. There are more than the hairs of mine head. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore my heart faileth me. So it's funny, you know, us in this ministry, just like King David himself, we're hated. We have more enemies than the hairs on our head. Even the people who smile in our face, the people that we've grown up with, the people that we've came up in the household with, the people that we claim to be, in the truth and serving the Lord with, a lot of men actually hate us. And as much as it sucks, you just kind of got to deal with it, you know? Like I've said, most of my time in this ministry, I've pretty much been to myself. I've pretty much been alone. And you got guys who'll say, well, you shouldn't be in that lone wolf spirit, but these same guys ain't going to reach out to you when they see that you're alone either. So I think that's a lot of hypocrisy, and being alone as long as I have, you just don't really care to reach out like that no more. Seeing that the times that I have reached out to brothers seem to be the only times I've linked up with brothers. So it's like, man, the hatred is real. It comes from everywhere. And many nights I've gone through that feeling of just feeling useless and worthless and hopeless, and the Lord has always lifted me up. Seeing that people hate me and I have no one to lean on, to talk to like that, I don't have a right hand man. It's like that for some of us, and that's all right, because when our minds fail us, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to be with us. Let me read this again, though. For innumerable evils have compassed me about, mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs on my head. Therefore my heart faileth me. And when your heart fails you, when our hearts fail us, it's okay. What is that? Psalm 73:26. My flesh and my heart faileth me, but the power is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. So, our flesh is weak. And our flesh being weak also affects our mind. Our mind can be weak. But when these things come, when we go through these feelings, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is our strength. And we need that strength now more than ever. Plenty of days that I felt the hatred, so I could just feel my heart like sink in my chest when I be around just certain people, And as a man, you want to handle things and you just got to wait. It's like, Like as a man, it's like, if you don't like me and I don't like you, I'd rather not be around you, but I'm forced to be around you. I got to pretend and all this other stuff. It is what it is. This is Job 4:1. Then Eliphaz, the Temanite, answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. So this is one of Job's friends responding to Job, seeing that Job was catching hell. And instead of being a comfort to Job, pretty much making Job's situations worse. Okay? Because like us, we'll do these videos, we'll strengthen up each other. And then there might be days that come, we just feel weak. We just feel beat down. And then all the times that you've spent trying to uplift others in times of need of you needing that word, it's like brothers will beat you down. You might go through a situation where you might be like, yeah, my woman, she left me. You'll have a brother, man, get over it, Op. Shit, there's more fish in the sea. Like no comfort. You might tell a brother, somebody close to you just passed away. You be all right, Doc. They ain't really dead. They in the spiritual realm. Maybe the Lord killed them because they was wicked. But it's like, yeah, that might be the case. But a lot of times when men are going through something, they want to be uplifted. They need that speech of life. You got men, they see you down, they'll just kick you more, right? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was fallen, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It touches thee, and doubt are trouble. So it's like, hey, you always giving motivation speeches, but now that you're going through it, you're not living what you was talking. Hey, you got men in this truth who claim to be brothers. They not for you. That's all I'm gonna say. Right? It is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and thy uprightness of thy ways. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow in wickedness reap the same. So this man was talking to Job like Job was catching hell because of his wickedness. Instead of giving Job comforting words like the Lord is with you, you know, you've been an upright man, maybe the Lord's just testing you. He came in the spirit of Satan, you know? And there's men in this ministry who've gone through that. You thought you were going to go to a brother, he was going to give you some uplifting words, and by the time you got done talking with him, you felt worse, right? It's hard being alone. And I forget there's an actual chemical that's released in your brain when you're rejected. And it's the same chemical that's released, I believe, when your brain takes force. Like if you were to get punched or something, right? And we go through a lot of rejection. A lot of things that women just could not deal with, could not bear. Brothers have to deal with in this ministry. But we do it for Yahweh Shai, and ultimately, it's just how the Lord set it up, man. He just made us different. James 4:4, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the power? Whosoever will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the power. So anyone who's a friend of this world, you're an enemy of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. We can't be friends of this world. Okay? These people hate Yahweh Shai. Why would we be buddy-buddy with these people? Right? So, you know, all the rejection that we go through, the feelings of loneliness, it's normal. You know, it's just symptoms of being in this ministry is what I call it. At one time with my existence in this ministry, that used to bother me. It used to hurt, even back in the world, going through loneliness and feelings of just not feeling like I fit in. You know, I gotten to the point now, I get it now, you know. I understand it now. And it took a lot of years to finally understand it. But I understand it, you know. And I always reflect on Yahweh Shai going to that cross when he got snatched up. He got snatched up alone. All the 12 disciples at one time said they died for him. None of them were there typically when he got snatched up. He was alone, you know. And some of us got to be alone, although we're not alone. So I think I hit my point. You know, I just like reading the scriptures, man. A lot of men rant, talk, don't bring out no scriptures, man. You got men in this truth who's been in this truth for years. It's like, man, you doing a whole lot of talking, bro. Bring out the scriptures, bro. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Give all thanks and praises unto our power. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wa Rakakwadash. Lord willing, this was simple and edifying. Shalom.